keep trying to share my screen in the meantime, but I'm your facilitator for the next 12 weeks. My name's Radhika Sharma, and I joined GHD just shy of 3 years ago. And my background is in design thinking and innovation. Prior to GHD, I was at ThinkPlace, which is a social impact firm with the remit of accelerating and meeting the Sustainable Development Goals. And prior to that, I was at a Capgemini, so very excited to be facilitating today. Today is about innovation fundamentals. So we're going to go through a bit about what innovation is, why we should care about it, and how it's relevant to you over the next 12 weeks. So we're going to have a bit of an introduction to the Smart Seeds team, a bit of a program overview. We're going to get into a bit of the fundamentals of innovation and how we can work collaboratively over the next 12 weeks. And sort of why we dapple into that, you guys will find out in the subsequent slides. The marvelous people that you may not see on screen who have incredibly pulled this content together and are doing all things magical backstage. Kay, the program manager. We've got Emma, who you've been acquainted with previously. Oh, there you are. We have the wonderful Laura, and we'll have a guest appearance of Pete potentially as the weeks go by. So that is us. We have a series of mentors as well, which you guys will be acquainted with. We have Melissa Ross, Annalise Rees, Justine Belston, Kate Hannaford, Andrew Harris, and Kirsten Steedman with us today. So thank you very much. Okay, we're going to get into a quick activity of meeting your team. So in the chat very shortly, you guys will be given a link to what's called a mural board. And a mural board is essentially, for those who aren't familiar, a digital whiteboard, which we'll be using to collaborate over the next 12 weeks. We do recommend that you either open this on Mozilla Firefox or Chrome, because if you try to open it on Internet Explorer, it's a very clunky and annoying experience. So this link should look something like, if I can just cancel this, look something like this. And what we're going to do here is, if you guys hover over to this section called Forming Your Team, you will see your names and the groups that you guys belong to. So very shortly, you guys are going to disappear into a series of breakout groups where you guys will get to meet your teams. And if you click on the link here, it will take you to your mural board. And your mural board will open up and look something like this, but you do not need to worry about that right now. Just have it open on a secondary tab, and it's the board that we'll essentially be using and collaborating with in your teams over the next 12 weeks. But the purpose of this is just to break out into your teams and have a bit of a chat, get to know each other. You know, these people are gonna be your little tribe or family as you guys navigate your challenges over the next 12 weeks. And so we thought it'd be great for everyone to kind of have a virtual meet and greet before we get kick-started. So you guys will be vanishing shortly, and we'll see you on the other side.
And just before Rads, I let everyone go, essentially for those who are our awesome GHD participants, just know when you're trying to access Mural, if it asks for you to log in, don't log in, just use a visitor access pass. And then when you show up on the Mural board, like you can see at the bottom of Rad's screen, you should be able to see things like visiting bear or visiting crab, and that's totally sufficient for accessing the board. But what you'll see at the moment is an invitation now on Zoom to enter your breakout room, where you can actually have 15 minutes to get to know who are the other people in your room, in your team, as well as the mentors. So just take that time to introduce yourselves. If you have any issues, just jump back into the main room and we'll be able to help you out.
Okay. Well, welcome back, everyone. Hopefully it was nice for you guys to get acquainted to who you'll be working with over the next 12 weeks, which is exciting. If you didn't have much time or not everyone sort of got time to go around the virtual room, do not worry. This is not your only opportunity to be working together. There'll be ample opportunity for everyone to get to know each other as we work through the activities and obviously over the next 12 weeks. So a bit about your journey ahead, and this slide will sort of be a reoccurrence as we go through the process. So what you're looking at right now is what is known as the double diamond. It is a framework of design thinking, and what that sort of means we're going to delve into a little bit more deeper in the subsequent slides today. But essentially, we're at the start of the journey. So you can see where the yellow arrow is showcasing. We're about to go into what looks like the research half of the diamond, and I won't spend too long sort of articulating what all this means because we're going to get into the crux of that later today. But essentially, we're at the start of our journey. We have a series of challenges that we're looking to solve, and we're going to investigate how we're going to solve them over the next 12 weeks. So a bit about what we're working towards. So at the end of the 12 weeks, you will have what's called a virtual showcase. And what that will comprise of is everyone, all participants have to be involved in its development as well as being involved in the pitch itself. So everyone's names, roles, and how they sort of contributed to the development of your final pitch is very, very important. This pitch will actually be a 2-minute video, 2 minutes max length, which then will be showcased to a panel of judges to then be questioned. And so you have to be bold and be ready to be asked all types of curly questions. And if videography is not your strongest point, don't worry. There will be professional video support, and that will sort of be articulated to you as we get closer to that time of how that will work and what will that look like. But essentially, your research and challenge exploration will be summarized into a 2-minute pitch, which will then be assessed and questioned with a judging panel. So assessment for the criteria for the judging panel is as shown. So clear communication of the challenge and demonstrated understanding, creativity and innovation of solution, appropriateness of solution, so how well the solution successfully addresses the design challenge, and delivery of presentation. The awards are quite self-explanatory. People's Choice Awards, it's always my favorite, which is the voice of the people, get to pick which one they like. And obviously the judges awards, because there will be a panel assessing each of your video submissions. I might pause there before I go into the next slides. Does anyone have any questions or reservations? Feel free to jump off mute or just type them in the chat. I'll just quickly have a look at the chat.
I can also add here too that we have plenty of examples of previous teams' pitches. So there's some really good examples on our YouTube channel that you can have a look at already as to what's been done previously. I would refer you to the most recent ones in Australia being Future Energy, Melbourne and Riverina have all of those similar 2-minute video pitches.
Thanks, Next. So this is not new to all of us in the virtual room, obviously, but just something to be mindful of, that as we progress through the next 12 weeks, to be very wary of your location's COVID regulations and rules, not only of where you're living, but your organization's COVID rules and regulations. So make sure we're adhering to those and being as safe as possible if you decide to meet up or collaborate in person. Oh, okay, so workshop 1 of today, we're going to be looking at innovation fundamentals. So what is innovation and why is it important? So innovation is a very broad term. It's quite a frequently used term. And essentially, in the context of smart seeds and what we're going to go through over the next 12 weeks, or to us, it's important to distinguish this concept between an idea and innovation. So we believe that innovation is only innovation when an idea has successfully delivered and realized its value. So the importance is that there is a value adding factor towards innovation. Very often innovation is often seen as something new and cutting edge, but there seems to be this perception that something innovative is sort of new or on the fringe or different or modern, but not necessarily. Innovation can simply just be fresh thinking or doing something differently to how it's done before, and sort of challenging how something is done before, or doing it essentially in a way that drives more value. It doesn't necessarily have to be new or the next whiz bang thing. But on that notion of innovation, it'd be great to get your ideas in the chat, or if you want to jump off mic, of how have you solved a challenge in the past, be it through a work situation or a life situation, by using innovation. So, getting value by just doing something differently. We always love it when people jump off mute, so don't be shy. I might leave there.
I think there are a lot of hacks that went on through COVID to Rads about just different ways of setting up your work office at home, or adapting to things when you couldn't go out, different ways of getting things to you.
Totally. I definitely used a lot more Amazon purchases during COVID than I probably should have. So why do we, Isaac, locked myself out of the house and used a fork to break through the window by taking my screens off. Amazing.
That's an excellent example. You're not even thinking about going through the door. You're just looking for another way in. It's great.
I love it.
Nice one, Jack.
So why do we need innovation? This slide is very text heavy, but I thought it articulated and differentiated between the two very, very well. And this is taken from Kruta and others. But essentially, innovation helps us solve what's known as, or it provides approaches to solve what's known as wicked problems. So what are wicked problems? So wicked problems, as the name suggests, are complex in their nature and generally have multiple layers or multiple factors of influence. And the thing about wicked problems is that the solution isn't always clear, and there could be multiple ways of addressing this particular problem. There's no one clear, bespoke answer. An example of a wicked problem is something like income disparity or sustainability. There are various ways of tackling it. There are multiple influences, so the solution isn't clear as to how you would tackle it. In contrast to this, a tame problem is very linear in its nature. There's a specific methodology or framework or algorithm that can be applied to solve the problem, and the solution is generally quite clear. An example of this is, you may know how to make a cake for 6 people, but now you need to make a cake for 60 people. So in essence, you multiply the ingredients and change the logistics, and your solution will be clear. You can now make a cake for 60 people. And the process of doing that was very clear. You knew what ingredients to multiply and sort of how to, on the proviso you don't make any mistakes and have your plan overflowing with cake, you should have a cake for 60 people. So there are various approaches to innovation, some of which we'll dig in a bit deeper than others today, that I would like to take you guys through. And the one that you'll get most acquainted with throughout the 12 weeks of Smart Seeds is design thinking. But to give you an understanding of what's out there, we'll start off with systems thinking. So systems thinking is essentially seeing things, having a systems view, as the name suggests, of a bird's eye view of a system. So, and understanding how all the layers of the system interact to make the system itself. A good example of this is a government or a healthcare system. Understanding all the multiplicity and multiple factors that are involved to make the system tick, and how tinkering with one part of the system will have a flow-on effect to the whole system. So it's having that bird's eye view. Design thinking, on the other hand, is understanding how a particular user group or user, be it a citizen or customer, experiences that system. How do they navigate that system? What are the pain points? What are the things that go well for them? What are the things that they hate about the system? What are some of the challenges they face while navigating that system? So it's almost a personalized view of that user's experience of that particular system. The lean methodology, with its origins in manufacturing, teaches two principles above all others. So knowing the value you bring to customers and doing it in a way that eliminates waste. So lean is all about meeting the needs of users with as little waste as possible. So the lean methodology relies on three very simple ideas. So one, you drive value from your customer's perspective, which is imperative for the lean principle and across all of them. Eliminate waste, so things that don't bring value to the end product. And three, it operates off a continuous improvement. Agile, on the other hand, is about building the thing right. So what we mean by that is it's an iterative approach. So it's a continuous improvement approach that helps teams deliver value to their customers in faster and with fewer headaches. So instead of launching something through a waterfall approach or a big bang launch, an agile team will deliver work in small but consumable increments. And this is what we mean by having an iterative approach. It's about continuously going back and improving something as opposed to incrementally building it and then releasing it as an end product. So I spoke a bit about this previously, so I won't touch on this. I won't go into too much more detail. But as I mentioned in the previous slide, the systems thinking is about having that bigger picture and seeing how things are interconnected, whereas design thinking is understanding how a particular user or group of people navigate the complexities of that system and their experiences and the challenges they face and the things that they feel and the influences that contribute to their experience. And this is the mode of, or the approach that we're going to be leveraging most across the 12 weeks. So within the design thinking approach, there is 3 lenses of innovation. And ideally in any innovative solution, the golden solution meets all 3. Like you ideally in the real world want the 3 lenses to you want your solution to address all 3 lenses, hence the end goal being in that sweet spot in the middle. So what are these 3 lenses of innovation? So you have technical feasibility. What does that mean? So technical feasibility is, does the organization have the technical ability or capability to deliver that solution? Do you have the right skills that are required to make the solution work? Is it wanted? So desirability, and this is one of the core, one of the most important things of your approach if you're approaching any sort of challenge with a lens of innovation. I cannot stress this one enough. It is, does it meet the needs and wants of your user? Is it what the people want as opposed to what you think is required? Or is it what your users are asking for? And this is where your research is imperative in you trying to develop an understanding of this. Is it commercially viable? So as the name suggests, is it financially feasible for us to develop this kind of solution? And other sort of risks or lenses that are just as important, particularly in the challenges that you guys are navigating through over the next couple of weeks, is regulatory. So are there any regulatory risks that you need to be aware of when addressing your challenge? Are there any environmental risks or concerns that you need to address while addressing your challenge? Commercial and most importantly, social and ethical risks. Are there anything that we need to explore further while developing a solution? So I touched on this very briefly at the start, but the design thinking framework has what's called a double diamond approach. So this is what you see in front of you. And there's a series of half diamonds, I know, but essentially the double diamond is just here to avoid any confusion. But the process is as follows. So as I mentioned, we are currently over here. So the first half of the diamond is the research phase, so the discovery phase. So what does that mean? So the discovery phase is when you go out into the world and you have a challenge and you go out to solve, be it via desktop research, talking to people. It's your data gathering phase, essentially. This is when you go out and you go abroad and you try and understand the challenge for as many lenses and through as many people as possible. Then you get into insights and you see that the diamond starts to converge. Yes, you converge here. What does that mean? So this convergence of the second diamond symbolizes that you're starting to narrow down your data and you're starting to refine your research. So once you've gone and collected all your data, you then need to go through a series of synthesis and a series of processing all that information into a set of tangible and a set of actionable, what we call insights. And those insights then guide how you go and solve your problem or go and explore solutions to your particular problem. This then leads into the ideation phase. So once you've developed your series of insights, which inform your solution or inform how you're going to address your challenge or kind of take you in the direction of how you want to solve your challenge, you go, okay, so I then need to go and ideate on this. So ideation is when you go and create a series of ideas based on the insights that you've ideated. It's kind of going back into that research mode again, as I mentioned, as you do in the discovery phase. So based on the information that you have collected, you go out and you go, okay, based on our research, we have discovered X, Y, and Z. How could we respond to these challenges that we've identified through our research? What would that look like? How could we actually implement this if we were to do this? Our data suggests this. How would we go about making that happen? So that is the ideation phase. Then you go in to evaluate and prototype. So based on the ideas that you've generated during the ideation phase, you'll start to narrow down a series of ideas that you think will work, essentially, that you think might drive value into addressing your challenges. You then want to try those out. So evaluating and prototyping is essentially the process of executing and testing your solution to see if it would work in reality. You start to build those, you start to build those solutions, whether it be a tangible thing or a concept or a business model. That's sort of where you start to develop your solution. Then you go into deliver and scale. So once you've sort of produced your solution and tested it, you then go into scaling it and making it bigger, and how could this particular solution be addressed to the masses? So I'm going to pause there. One, because I need to catch my breath because I went through that very fast. But two, does anyone have any questions or is anything unclear at all?
It is a lot of theory to process all at once. We acknowledge that. And just to your last point about delivering and scaling, Rads, it's not expectations of your teams here that you get to that point with Smart Seeds. It's really about coming up with a really compelling solution that focuses on the desirability.
So yes, we won't be scaling any mass solutions in the course of the 12 weeks, but it's really to get an understanding of how you would sort of navigate through a kind of a tangible way of understanding how this works in action. Alrighty. So innovation is not a solo mission. As you guys just found out, you guys are going to be working in groups, and collaboration is key and important as you guys navigate through these challenges and work together over the next 12 weeks. And the unique thing about team groups is that there's diversity in the mix. So we're going to touch a bit on diversity. So the reason why we are going to touch a bit about this is that everyone is awesome, obviously, and brings a particular lens of experience to the table of how you guys address the challenge, how you perceive the challenge, how you might want to analyze the challenge. And this is a wonderful thing. This is why you guys are all here, and the groups have been very intentionally drafted up to ensure that there's different perspectives at the table. But the academic sort of theory to substantiate that is diversity is loosely defined as the existence of a range of backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives within a team. And it's commonly accepted that diversity is a driver of innovation, and it's crucial in a globalized world. For example, I have a psychology background, and if you put myself and a bunch of other people who have studied psychology in a room together, it's highly likely, I mean, it's not 100% certain, but it's highly likely all of us are going to approach the challenge in a very similar manner, and potentially, due to our academic background, research and look at the challenge and approach the challenge in very similar ways. Whereas if I was put in a room with an engineer, a scientist, a food scientist, a technician, we might all bring different lenses to the table based on our experiences, both in an educational sense, in a personal sense, in a life sense, that contributes to our view of addressing the challenge, which is awesome. So a bit more on this notion of diversity. So there are two types of diversity, if you will. There's inherent diversity, so traits that you were born out with, such as your gender and your ethnicity. And then there's acquired diversity, which I just touched on. So these are traits that are gained through experience, such as, professional experience, life experience, lived experience, etc. And so we believe that it's a combination of acquired diversity and inherent diversity, as well as having an innovative culture that really drives people to flourish and address solutions or come up with things. We believe that this is essentially the secret sauce to make innovation happen. So what you have on the left-hand side is acquired diversity and inherent diversity, plus 6 behaviors that we think foster an innovative culture or innovative behaviors. So this is ensuring that everyone is heard, making it safe to propose novel ideas, giving team members decision-making authority, sharing credit for success, giving actionable feedback, and implementing feedback from the team. I'm going to pause here and ask, where have you seen this successful? Or how does your workplace make sure that people feel safe to be innovative or safe to contribute new ideas? Or have you seen these in action in your place of work? Comment on the chat or feel free to come off mic. Add identifying and define context. Annalise, do you want to jump off mute and provide a bit more to your comment?
Sure. Sorry, it was for a little bit earlier at the 1 or 2 slides before in regards to the design thinking.
Right.
And so I was my thought there as we were going through that was when we get to evaluate, prototype and deliver in scales, there's a little point there about user centricity. And I thought actually that's context dependent. So that's probably something needs to be considered there, but also back earlier in the research section that obviously we're dealing with massive topics or challenges. And so addressing or defining the context of the research problem is really important to make that containable and also achievable. So they're probably useful things perhaps for people to think about.
Wonderful.
Hopefully.
Ali, you have raised your hand. Please jump in.
Yeah, so I was going to talk about the innovation through diversity.
Okay.
So I've experienced this at work where my manager has always said that whenever you're having a conversation with a group of people and you're trying to gather ideas or you're trying to get people to think about a solution, the issue usually is that people will just sit there and wait, and they're not really sure when they should speak or when they should say something, or they're really shy and nervous and they don't really know what to say. And so he'll often say to me that what he'll do is he'll always be the first one to say a solution, and it will always be it's his words, not mine, the stupidest solution ever. Just so that people can think, okay, well, if this guy can say a really dumb solution, then surely I can say something. And just to make everybody in the room feel a little bit more comfortable. So I've seen him do this quite a few times, and I've even taken on the behavior of just saying something to start the conversation so that people feel a little bit more comfortable to raise their hands and to share their experience. So yeah, I just wanted to add that in there. Sometimes it's just about making the room a bit more comfortable and taking the tension away, and then great ideas can be shared.
That is great, Ali. That's prompted me to think of something else, right? Because it's counterintuitive to come up to say something stupid. I don't like saying something stupid to come out of my mouth. And I think of the engineers and the professionals on this call that it's their job to always have the solution and have the right answer. So I think something I've observed is it's extra challenging when you know your professional pride and your reputation is all about having something very sensible and correct coming to say, to then have to come up with something that might not actually work. So maybe not be at the end of completely stupid and deliberately stupid, but even as we go through this process and you have to come up with something that may or may not work, it hasn't been proven, you haven't done the numbers on it yet, that can make you feel uncomfortable. So I just wanted to call that out and say it makes me uncomfortable too. But it's fun. It's fun when you're in a safe space to be able to do it.
I love it. I love it. Thank you guys for commenting. Feel free to pop any more examples that you may have on the chat, but we are very strict on time today, unfortunately, because there's a lot to get through. So resolving conflicts. So naturally diverse personalities, diverse experiences, diverse people in the room. Conflict is inevitable, not saying that it will happen to you guys, but it does happen in a team dynamic. And there are various ways to resolve this or navigate it through. And given the nature of these challenges and how broad they are and how many multifaceted they are, this could arise for you guys as you guys navigate your the complexities of the challenges that you guys have. So some ways that this can be mediated, or a way to kind of resolve conflict and get through it a bit more seamlessly, is by popular vote. So this could be anonymous. You could do it through delegation. So one person can make the decisions and then following week someone else gets to be executive chair. Ranking pros and cons of each option. And I know this seems a bit funny given that we're all adults in a room and, you know, we're all probably very much able to go through a challenge and whatnot, but it is very different sort of it can be an interesting experience being with a bunch of people that you've never worked before, trying to develop a pitch and present that pitch. So, these things can happen. So these are just some ideas of how you can navigate challenging moments of your journey. So I think I've done enough talking, and we're going to jump on to some activities. So in the chat, a link. Oh, you guys do have your mural boards. So I mentioned that every team had a mural board when you guys went off and met your fellow team members. So your mural board should look something like this. And I'm going to need you guys to pull those boards back up individually. And we're going to zoom in. You'll see we'll have this board for the course of the 12 weeks, but don't worry about the rest of the board just yet. We are zooming in to the innovation fundamentals section of the board here. And I will use the example of sustainable place for the purpose of this, but we have a little activity for you about using murals. So some quick tips for mural. As I mentioned previously, it's best operated in Chrome or Mozilla Firefox. As if you have a trackpad on your mouse to zoom in and out, you simply scroll. But if you don't have a trackpad on your mouse, there's a little thing here that you can sort of go in and out. So that's a tip there for you. And in order to create a sticky note like you see here, you just simply double click and a sticky note will appear. And you double click on any links throughout the board or PDFs in order to open them up, and they'll open up as a tab. And if you are summoned by a facilitator, you'll be drawn to a specific area. For example, if I'm the facilitator, if I summon the 4 people on the board, they will now see exactly what I'm seeing. So I'll release them because the facilitator has ultimate power. So the first activity that we're going to spend 10 minutes on is on each of your boards, you'll see your lovely faces. And if you didn't get a chance to provide your photo, it's okay. You are now a black icon. And on this board, you'll see your faces and or icons, and either a fun fact, if you provided it, or a role, a job title. So the task that we have for you guys today, just to get a bit comfortable with mural and how it works, is to drag your photo to your task or your title. So in order to move things around, you simply right click and hold in order to move post-it notes around. But yes, so as a quick task, you have 10 minutes to locate your photo and locate either your fun fact or role, and allocate yourselves accordingly. So you guys will be summoned into your breakout rooms very shortly, but I'll pause there and see if anyone has any questions.
Left click to drag, Rads.
Thank you, Kay. Left click to drag. Please don't right click. But while you guys are in your groups, after you've done this activity, hover down to this working collaborative section here. And before I go in to explain this, you'll notice that there are some sort of artifacts here with paper clips. At the end of the session, we will have a recording of the session posted up here. So for those that didn't have a chance to make it today, they'll have a chance to listen to the materials. You'll also see this participant had this workbook here about the different topics that we cover today. And you guys can consult it for your own references sort of after the workshop if you need a bit more clarity or a bit more theory that breaks down sort of what we've discussed today. You will notice in these workbooks, however, the ordering might be slightly different to what we've gone through in our workshops, and that's totally okay. If you just navigate to whatever was discussed in that particular workshop, it will be the same content. It's just that every every time we run our Smart Seeds program, we like to shake things up, try new things, move things around, but the content is essentially exactly the same. So as a second exercise, we have the wheel of diversity that I explained earlier. So after you've done this first exercise, simply go down to the diversity exercise here, and you'll have 15 minutes in your groups to answer the following questions. So part 1 is identity crisis. So I am, but I am not. So using a sticky note, write something that you are, but then also contradicts the assumption of what you are. So for example, I am an engineer, but I am not good with numbers. Then you have 2. Each team member is to list on a sticky note three things of their inherent and acquired diversity traits, and to share that back with your team. So 3 things that are inherent and 3 things in your acquired diversity traits. Then finally, discuss your individual strengths that you bring into the team, and then discuss how these could fit in group alignment and responsibilities, so your team can take advantages of your strength as a group. So this one's really important. So discussing your strengths and sort of what you bring to the table and how that could fit into this challenge over the next 12 weeks will really help for the final activity we're doing. So I'm going to stop there, and you guys will have about 25 minutes in total, and then we'll bring you guys back to the main room to discuss after we've finished that up. Hello everyone, I will share my screen again. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Can you guys see my screen? Wonderful. Hopefully you guys enjoyed getting to know each other and skills a bit more. We are now, I won't get you guys to play back what you guys found just yet, because it's going to be important and sort of feeds in really well to the next activity that we've got planned for you guys. And I know it's a bit of an amazing race of activities, but after this final one, I promise you there are no more, and you get to go about the rest of your afternoon without me forcing racing activities. So we're nearly there. The next activity, and why we got everyone to sort of start to think about their strengths and how they can what they bring to the table in terms of how best they can use their skills through to navigate this challenge, is we're going to build something which I'm sure you guys are all familiar with, called a team charter. So the very final activity, if you hover down to your board here, for activity 3, is there's a structure that we've built out for you guys to kind of help you think about how you're going to navigate the next 12 weeks in terms of logistical process, like who's in your team, what are your core values, how will you work together, how often will you guys collaborate. Many of you have each team has a mentor, so if they're not present currently, or your mentors may not be joining every workshop, how will you collaborate with your mentors to ensure that you get the guidance that you need? So we really want to set this cadence and sort of, I guess, ways of working up front, so that you guys sail through the next 12 weeks pretty smoothly, and you get the support you need and guidance sort of if needed as we go through the different steps of the program. So there's group norms, roles. So what role will each person play in the dynamic of the group? How will you measure success? So as you're going through the next 12 weeks, how do you know you're hitting all the targets that you want to hit? What does good look like? What are some of the outcomes you want to achieve? And naturally, this all won't be super clear just yet, but building the ways of working up front is important as we kind of go through the content and sort of theory over the next 12 weeks. And standards of quality. So as a team, what does good look like, and why? So I will leave some time for you guys to sort of peruse the board and start to populate this, it's really important that by the end of this week, or sort of before we kick on to jumping into Define tomorrow and subsequent weeks, that you guys really have this nutted out so that there's a mutual understanding of how you're going to work together and collaborate, and more importantly, connect with your mentors and facilitators such as myself if needed as you're going through the next 12 weeks. I'm going to pause there and see if if there's anything you want to say, Emma, just on this before I give everyone a chance to go back into their groups and start to discuss how they're going to all work together.
No, I'm all good.
Okay, cool. So yeah, this is it doesn't look like much, but it's really, really important given that you guys don't this is the first time you guys are meeting all each other and figuring out how best we can leverage everyone's strengths to collaborate. So we'll give you guys, it's 3:39 now. We'll give you guys about not so much 20 minutes, maybe about 16 minutes, 15 minutes to give this a crack. Before we go into breakout groups, are there any questions? Nope, I'm going to take silence as a no. So yeah, we'll give everyone about 16, 17 minutes to work on this, and we'll call you guys back when we're just before wrap up time to finish up. But how's everyone feeling? You know, it's been a solid 3 hours of hearing multiple people talk. We've got some big challenges to solve, very exciting challenges, mind you. You've met a bunch of new people that you're going to be spending the next 12 weeks with. Sounds like a reality TV show. But how is everyone feeling? Are we excited to tackle the next 12 weeks? Are we feeling a bit apprehensive? Feel free to jump off mute.
Yeah, I think it's been good, you know, definitely warmed up compared to the first 5 minutes into the session, as you know, versus the 3 hours later.
Great to hear. Anyone else?
Agreed. Yeah, very excited. Got to know the team, which was really nice, and keen to move forward with it.
Amazing. Well, guys, we're nearly at time, so I'll keep this as brief as possible. But essentially, the team charter, and playing that back, I don't think we'll have enough time for everyone to kind of go around the room and have a big playback, but I really urge you, if not by tomorrow, by the end of this week, to really sort of nut out those intricacies of cadence of when you're going to meet, how you're going to meet. Is that sort of via Skype or via MS Teams? Do you guys have each other's contact details to communicate? What will a working session look like? How will you best contact each other? When do you want to speak to your mentors, et cetera, et cetera? Make sure you have your mentors' details. So having these things nut out, I guess, saves from any unwarranted sort of stress as the heat of the program does sort of pick up as we proceed. But I won't get people to individually go through each of the sections, but how did everyone sort of find navigating the team charter and coming up with how their plan of attack for the next 12 weeks?
I'm going to just be really honest that we only got to our strengths and weaknesses.
Well, as I said, like the board is it's a live document. So, you know, if you feel motivated to jump on that this evening or later on tomorrow, it's iterative for you guys. And as you guys go through this process, what you have written down today might not be what it looks like at the end of the 12 weeks. So please don't take this team charter as it is right now as gospel. Like, it can change, it can pivot. You guys might not even, what you have at the end of the 12 weeks of how you guys work together might not be what you guys have on day one. So that's totally okay, as long as you guys have a way of working that works for you guys to get through the next 12 weeks. But thanks for the honesty. Anything exciting you guys learned from each other from the diversity piece of learning what people's strengths and weaknesses were?
So from our team, people naturally could lean into their weaknesses, but it was like, hey guys, no, we need to know what our strengths are, and that's okay to call those out and to look at our superpowers and be able to see that as something that people should champion even early in your career, and be able to identify. So strengths are so important to be able to own and to share proudly with everyone.
Such an interesting insight. Thank you so much, Kirsten. Yeah, it's interesting, as humans, how sometimes we can jump into what the cons are as opposed to what's good. It is 4 o'clock, and it is near the end of the week, so I will not be that evil person that's lets you stay a minute more, but thank you very, very much for your time. We hope that the introduction of the program and the launch was exciting, and you guys are all geared up to get going. There is a lot of thinking to be done tomorrow, so without further ado, I will leave you here, and we'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you so
everybody.
much, guys.
Thank
So
you.
Bye.
Guys.